So we're gonna make the most incredible Caesar salad that's gonna blow your mind. We're gonna take it to the next level, the next galaxy.
This souped-up salad combines sweet and crispy salad veg topped with the juiciest chicken and the crispiest skin.
So to make the ultimate roast chicken, to give you the ultimate croutons, which makes the ultimate Caesar salad, we're gonna start with a brine.
Brining adds loads of flavour and moisture to your chicken. Combine 4 tablespoons of fennel seeds and black peppercorns, 6 dried chilies, loads of bay leaves and fresh thyme.
We're just toasting it, waking it up, and it smells incredible. Then we're gonna break that heat with a litre of water and apple juice. All right, yeah, I get it. Chili, fennel, apple juice, delicious. So then we need salt, 2 heaped tablespoons per litre. So that's 4 of those bad boys.
Don't worry, you're not going to eat all of this salt. It's just here for the soaking.
Salt has this reaction with moisture, doesn't it? It can pull and push, pull and push. And actually, it's kind of your best friend for imparting flavour.
And to maximise that flavour, I'm going to open out the chicken.
Get your knife or a pair of scissors, go to the parson's nose, and then just simply cut down like that. Keep your hands away. And then once you start hitting the rib cage, don't put any weight onto it. And it's very, very simple. All the way down, it goes to the end. And then all you do is open it out like a book. And there you have your spatchcock chicken.
Place the chicken in the cooled brine solution.
You can brine it for 2 hours, 4 hours, overnight. It's all cool in the gang. And simply, what I would do is just kind of, put a plate upside down in there to weigh it down. What's gonna happen is you're gonna transform your brilliant chicken into a flavoured, seasoned, juicier, brilliant chicken.
And I've got one that's been brined overnight in the fridge, with all that flavour absorbed into the meat. Pat the chicken dry and drizzle with olive oil.
So this goes in the oven for half an hour at 200 degrees Celsius. We want to get the flavours going. So as the chicken roasts, I want to show you how I make my creamy dressing. The original was riffing off of mayonnaise. So why not get your creaminess from beautiful, thick, organic Greek yogurt? Now we're pimping it up, OK? So about 4 tablespoons of good, cold-pressed, extra virgin olive oil.
Then add some English mustard, some pepper, Worcestershire sauce, the zest and juice of 1 lemon,
just to loosen it and make it have that attack.
And grate in some nice fresh parmesan.
And it's the most wonderful seasoning that's going to make the whole salad and all those flavours come together. So mix that up, and you want it to be that consistency where it will just sit around the leaf of a lettuce. Dressing is done. Very nice, very fresh, and I think a trade-up. So next, something that divides people, anchovies. But it will still remain an optional extra in this salad, so don't run away. They're very salty to taste. So that's the problem. So let's fix it. Take the fillet. I like to cut them in half, like that. They're more delicate.
I'm going to marinate these slithers to reduce the saltiness and bring out the flavour.
So I'll take, things like parsley. Fresh is coming to save salty. OK, so in it goes. Then lemon. So flavours from the zest. This is kind of getting exciting, OK. Then the juice. Well, we know what lemon juice does, right? It's just there to kind of go with rich, oily things. That's going to be good. Then good oil. It's going to pull out the saltiness and make it delicious. Also, I like chili. The colours are telling you this is good. Dressing done, anchovy done.
Next, the crouton.
This is going to be the best crouton in your life. The humble bread is the carrier of everything. Some logic here. Chicken juices. What I want to do is take my chicken and mix the crouton in that fat. This is how we earn status of Best Crouton Award. We're going to take the garlic, right? We're going to leave them in the skin, right? And we are going to just put whole garlic cloves in there. It's going to be super croutons. Now, come with me. This is the genius bit, right? I'm going to put the chicken on the top of the oven. I want it to rain chicken juices over my croutons.
Now just leave it at 160 degrees Celsius, 320 Fahrenheit, for an hour.
So as the chicken's roasting and dripping on the croutons, getting crunchy, we can think about the salad, right?
Chop up the romaine lettuce, some chives, radishes, and a cucumber.
But essentially, anything crunchy could work in this salad.
After half an hour of roasting together, the aromas from the chicken and the croutons are incredible.
It's literally the crispiest skin I've ever seen. The apple juice has kind of penetrated it, and it's kind of toffeed, caramelised. This is insanely exciting. Those incredible croutons, look at these. Crunchy, chewy, and full of that beautiful goodness. Let's have some croutons in the salad. Look at this. We've got our mega dressing. Put about half of it in there. And let's dress every single last leaf. And shave the parmesan. And then we've got the chicken here. You know if the chicken's cooked, if the meat just peels away from the bone, like that. That's what I'm talking about. Was it worth it? Yeah. And look how juicy that is. Can you see? So there we go, lovely people. The great Caesar salad taken to the next level in Southend-on-Sea. Jimmy, Mark, hope you enjoy it. So what I want to do is just serve you a little bit, and then you'll have to wait, guys. Look at their faces.
I think I can hear them salivating.
Nice parmesan here. Fill your boots.
Man. There's so many different flavors going on. I've had Caesar salad, but not like this.
We're filling our faces, but should we feed the audience?
Oh, I think we should. Are you guys hungry? I'll get to you shortly.
I've never had a chicken brine before. It's so flavoursome.
Are you ready for a little Caesar salad?
That is so good.
The anchovies are like the turbocharger.
The juices have like dripped into the bread. That is absolutely stunning.
Guys, we're going to make pho, a classic French Vietnamese dish, which actually, faux pas, it should be called pho. It's a celebration of the most delicious broth.
This dish is all about steaming beef broth. In Vietnam, chefs are famous for making it rich, light and nourishing. Noodles, seared beef, bean sprouts and herbs, their flavours come alive as the boiling broth is poured over them.
This is the key. Bones. The convenience of the stock cube is fine, but that ain't stock. This will be.
Have a conversation with your butcher about beef bones.
This has got marrow in it as well, so this is like a super bone, because this will just jellify and just fall out. We want to roast it. We want to develop and amp up that flavour.
With a killer combo of Asian favourites, sesame oil, cinnamon, star anise, cloves and ginger.
Squash it. That's what we want. When you roast that, it tastes completely different than chopping it or slicing it. Okay, it's amazing.
Get these into an oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit for a couple of hours.
So what you get is the most amazing smells. Let the marrow melt out. Let the spices toast. Let the fat render. Let the flavour develop with caramelisation and the kind of browning of bones. Then we're going to add another layer of flavour to the story. We have a couple of beautiful lemongrass. And just give it a slap to break it up and get that in.
Follow it up with 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of fish sauce, and fill near to the brim with water.
Bring that to the boil now, at least 2 hours. If it takes 3 or 4 hours and you keep topping it up with water, it's all good. But you want to develop and extract as much flavour from those bones as possible.
After as many hours as you can give it, magic happens.
Let's have a little taste. Heavenly. The depth of flavour, it makes me feel good. The broth is done.
The steak is simple and foolproof too.
Now I'm slightly mixing up because I'm using a cut of meat that I think is underloved. Skirt of beef. You have to cook this medium rare, really, for it to be tender. What I'm going to do is add just a little oil to a hot pan. I'm going to get into the pan here, really screaming hot pan. I'm also going to take an onion, cut it into quarters. I want to just scald it and char it. We're going to basically brown it I'm gonna cook it medium rare blue. Onions, just bash them up, break them up. You don't need to cook them loads, okay? You want a little bit of life left in them, but that char, that smokiness, we do want. Beautiful.
This is traditionally served with a little pickled garlic.
It's a lovely little condiment that, you know, think of it like horseradish sauce on your roast beef.
I'm going to brine with a pinch of salt and sugar and a splash of vinegar.
And then just a tiny little spoon will just be a little pep. I'm gonna add boiling water, dissolve that salt and sugar, and there we go, guys.
Most supermarkets sell white or brown rice noodles, and they just need soaking in boiling water.
Let's load up. And then I'm gonna slice up some gorgeous beef. Imagine this at the dinner table. Come on, guys. Look at that. And you can see how raw that is, but don't forget the broth is gonna cook it.
Add some crunch with spring onions, chilies, bean sprouts and fresh herbs.
Let's put some of that amazing garlic and that brine. Gorgeous. Then we go in with that fantastic broth over the meat, and it will start to change colour, and the herbs will infuse. That, my friends, is a beautiful thing. Look how the hot broth cooks that rareness out of the steak, but it's going to be really tender and gorgeous. This is a really beautiful, therapeutic dish for this cold, windy day. They're going to love it.
Oh, look at that, John. I think Warwick's drooling.
For me, the thing here is all about the broth.
That's the broth.
When I pour the broth over the meat, you're actually cooking it.
Yeah, look at that.
So you see that meat change, and then, of course, when it hits the herbs, it becomes almost like an infusion, like a cup of tea.
And the aromas are incredible. I mean, it's just wonderful. It's quite spicy.
Wow. How are you getting on with that?
The meat's great, lovely.
And the broth?
Really nice. The broth. I mean, the combo's great. How are we eating the noodles? They're not playing ball here. They just don't want to get on
Feel free
it.
to slurp. It's okay to slurp. It's all about getting it in there.
I mean, I never get indigestion when I'm eating with chopsticks because you just eat so slowly.
But Warwick, I'm glad you're enjoying this.
I am enjoying it. I'm loving
because you've now got to serve it to this lot.
it. Have I?
You up for that?
One more mouthful and then I'm out there. I mean, a lot of actors are waiters in their spare time,
I
aren't
always
they?
got jealous of the guys that used to work in diners with roller skates.
Mate, you in hot pants, roller skates, tray, that big J on the front, big flashing pants.
You put me off the food.
This weekend, if you're going to do anything, follow me and make a cracker of a dish. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do salmon en croute. Woo! A nice little blast from the past.
This is my twist on a retro classic. It's an open en croute. Instead of a whole puff pastry case, it's got an incredible cheese sauce topping, tender, flaky salmon, and the most amazing stuffed crust. It's super easy to make, but deeply satisfying. A real centerpiece at any family gathering. It all starts with the salmon.
Every now and again, there's a glut of farmed salmon. And these little bad boys are on deal in the supermarket. Take advantage of that. Have it skinned and pin-boned, and you've done no work at all.
The pastry isn't going to eat into your time either, because I'm using 375 grams of ready-to-roll all-butter puff pastry.
I don't really want you to make puff pastry. You have got more important things to do. But all butter puff pastry is a joy. They've even rolled it out for you.
Now you can spend some time and care on the really tasty stuff, beginning with the herby spinach filling for my stuffed crust. In a large pan, heat up a slug of olive oil and a knob of butter. Then slice up 2 cloves of garlic.
So this is going to be the beginning of the journey of making it taste gorgeous. For all you people out there that don't like greens, you have to trust me, this is awesome, right?
Dice up 2 onions and add those to the pan, along with half a bunch of fresh oregano leaves, and fry gently on a medium heat for about 10 minutes.
See how the onions have turned colour a little bit? Beautiful. So there's sweetness there now. This is going to really give incredible flavour.
Go in with 750 grams of frozen spinach and another 250 grams of any leafy greens and herbs you want.
Things like basil, you've got things like rocket, watercress. I've got some little flowering fennel here, beautiful. I've got some dandelions here from the garden, super nutritious. I've even got stinger nettles, right? Yes, they sting. You can put rubber gloves on if you're not as strong as me. But pick these smaller leaves and they're delicious, full of the good stuff. And as soon as you cook them, the sting goes.
Gently sweat the whole lot down for 15 to 20 minutes or until all the moisture's gone. Season and leave to cool completely. Meanwhile, you can get on with the gorgeous cheesy sauce.
So the classic sauce was a bechamel. I want to take it on a little bit. I want to give it some more.
Start off by melting a knob of butter in a medium hot pan and throw in 1 sliced leek.
And then I'm going to add a little kind of curveball. 50 grams of beautiful sun-dried tomatoes. It's going to give it a lovely rosé tint. You know, that sweetness, that sunshine flavour will be in there. Let that slowly cook for about 10 minutes.
And once it's all softened, pour in about 100 ml of nice white wine.
And we want to cook that away, right? We definitely don't want a winey sauce. That's not nice. But we do want the kind of essence of the effort and care in that wine to be left.
Stir in a tablespoon of plain flour and 250 millilitres of milk. Simmer for 5 minutes, then pour all of it into a blender.
We're going to go in with a little cayenne pepper, just for a little kick, a little bit of background warmth.
Finally, grate in 50 grams of tangy red Leicester cheese.
I kind of use the cheese as a seasoning, but that's going to really help it gratinate as well. Absolutely gorgeous. And just whiz it up. Right, so here we go. Silky smooth. Off the chart.
Now you can start assembling this beauty.
Okay, so this is a fun bit. This is when it's a bit like an Airfix model, right? You want to bring it all together.
Roll out the pastry further if needs be, so there's a 10cm border around the fish for that gorgeous stuffed crust. Then, on with the spinach.
Just use a spoon to push that spinach nearly to the edge. Leave a little bit of pastry there like that.
Season the salmon, then lay it on top, and simply roll up the sides.
Now you can see, as I kind of turn this like this, what it's doing is creating that lovely stuffed crust. And then on the edges, there's no sort of right and wrong way. I'm just going to push it and crimp it. The thing about puff pastry is it's very forgiving. It's going to kind of cook into itself. So if it's not pristine now, it will cook into something beautiful.
Pour over the cheesy sauce, give the pastry a quick egg wash, and finish with a lovely garnish of oiled oregano flowers.
They'll smell incredible, they'll look incredible, and they'll go super crispy as well.
Bake right on the bottom of the oven at 220 degrees Celsius, 425 Fahrenheit for 30 to 40 minutes, until the pastry is crisp and the top is golden and gratinated.
This is at about 35 minutes. I've turned it once around in the cooking just so it's even. Come on. So there you go. My homage to the retro, beautiful thing that is salmon en croute.
Time to plate up. I'm keeping it simple and serving it with buttery new potatoes and a zingy watercress salad. This is one update your friends and family are gonna love.
Let's go. Go in for the salmon. You can see how flaky this is. It's crispy at the bottom. Let's get in there. Oh, so good. The sauce just protects the fish and it's got a lovely flavour. You know, the spinach was absolutely worth that love and care. And that, my friends, is a glorious meal that I know you're going to love.
This is the ultimate Italian roast. Cooked up for special occasions, it's a real celebration of a dish. Multiple roast birds, chicken, duck, partridge, pigeon, quail, and a big fat herby sausage. All roasted to perfection and served with sweet sticky veg, super rich sauce on a bed of velvety cheesy polenta.
This is an opportunity to do something a bit different. Friends coming around, 10, 12, 14, 16, it's gonna be phenomenal.
And it's not a difficult thing, but it all comes down to timing. So let's kick off with the duck.
It's a fabulous thing. People go wild for duck. It always sells out in restaurants. And a lot of people don't do it at home. It's a really, really generous, easy bird to cook.
Just give it a rub with oil, salt, pepper, and a grating of cinnamon. And pop some sage inside.
Then onto the chicken. Thyme. One thing you can do, just pop herbs just for 5 seconds in some boiling water. That wakes up all the natural oils.
Into a pestle and mortar. Add a pinch of salt, 3 or 4 garlic cloves, and give it a good old bash. Then muddle in some oil.
Then we can just squeeze it over the top like that and rub it all over. Get it amongst it, you know, there's no polite way to get flavour. Just have to get your hands in and have a good old rub up.
Pop a lemon inside, and that's it. Both birds are ready for the oven. About 1 hour 20 for the chicken and 2 hours for the duck at 180 degrees Celsius.
I'm going to put my chicken in right on the bars. Look at that. And my duck in right on the bars.
This isn't bonkers, trust me. We're going to catch all the beautiful fat and juices in the tray below, which is going to be the base for our amazing sauce. And it's going to give you the most ridiculously good caramelised veg ever.
So first up, just get yourself 4 or 5 lovely small onions.
Leave the skins on.
Fennel, loads of people see it but never ever buy it. Cut the lovely herby top off.
Pop those on the bottom shelf, and you can prep the game birds with a rosemary and olive oil marinade.
Pigeon in the countryside, when it feeds on beautiful, lovely natural foods, it's an incredible meat. Almost like steak, so good. Quail, just like a slightly more interesting chicken, but very small. Partridge is one of my favourite game birds, just absolutely gorgeous. It's just a celebration of meat and roasting, and it's just a wonderful thing.
Next up, Cumberland sausage. Get your butcher to roll a nice big one and skewer it with rosemary and bay. Once your chicken has had 1 hour and 20 in the oven, all this is ready to go in.
Woohoo! So look, guys, this is what I'm talking about. So that chicken is gorgeous.
Everything is timed to perfection, to come together at the same time. So chicken out, rest for 30 minutes, and we've made room for the rest of our meat.
The duck's as good as gold, right? We can just put that in the back like that. The quails and all the game birds, we can put these in and around. We're going to cook this for about half an hour. And then under here, just look at that. Got those lovely roasted fennel and onions. Put the sausage straight on top, and then back with the door closed.
Meat and veggies roasting away, you can crack on with the polenta.
Think mashed potato. That's what it's going to kind of work like. And it's going to be scrumptious.
Cook as per packet instructions. This lot is going to serve about 15 people. Once it's oozy and thick, enrich with butter and parmesan. That's going to turn your polenta into something truly delicious.
We're just going to fold that through, and it will just make it shine and go really nice, and then beat it in. That looks so good.
Now, the moment of truth.
Look at that. Wow. Sausages, veggies, juice, looking very, very good. All of our birds here, really, really good. The ducks had pretty much 2 hours. The smaller birds, just over half an hour, really. Let's get that fantastic Catherine wheel sausage over there. And then you can see here the veggies. And they've overcooked, right? That's the point. We want it to be overcooked and sweet and gnarly.
Next, for our lovely rich sauce. Pour away the fat and save for another day, and go in with some Chianti. Don't be shy.
Bring it to the boil, scrape the bottom, and you see that? That sticky goodness got the flavour of 10 kind of stock cubes, OK?
Once the wine starts to reduce, in with a tin of good plum tomatoes and the juice of your chicken.
Flavour, 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 guys.
Time to bring all this roasted loveliness together.
So this is the exciting bit.
Grab yourself one massive board, or you can divvy it up onto a few smaller ones.
So now it's time to hack up the meat. It doesn't matter how you do it. You can halve some, leave some whole. Whichever way you do it, just get it in and around that polenta. And the idea is that everyone gets to share a bit of everything. And then we've got our onions and fennel that are just sort of beautifully caramelised. And then last but not least, you got the gravy. Little bombs of sauce.
Finish off with some gremolata, which is a garnish of chopped lemon zest, garlic and parsley. And you've got yourself a proper celebration on a platter. Crispy skin, succulent meat, layer upon layer of herby, awesome flavour, caramelised veg, and the most creamy, cheesy, gorgeous polenta, all drizzled with that deep, rich sauce.
That is arrosto misto. The guys in the cafe are going to go wild for that. It's time to try something delicious that's going to blow your mind. I want to show you my expression of an Indian dosa. A light, crisp pancake batter filled with amazing vegetables, spices, with an array of sauces and pickles. It's so comforting, so delicious. So for this amazing dosa, you need an amazing fermented batter. It's very easy, but it's a 2-day process, and the fermenting might freak you out. Don't let it freak you out. The fermenting will give you texture, bubbles, and flavour like you won't believe. There's 3 ingredients that we're using here. You can get them in all the supermarkets. White rice, we've got the white split peas, otherwise known as urid dal, and then fenugreek, one of my favourite spices, very savoury and really fragrant.
Cover with water and leave to soak for 6 to 12 hours until the grains have plumped up and softened. Then blitz it all together until smooth.
So that's the batter made, and now we let the natural bit happen, the magic bit, the fermenting. You'll see, because you'll see bubbles, right? That will be flavoured.
As it's the weekend, we've got time to leave the batter to ferment overnight at room temperature so we can get on with the fun stuff.
Now it's all about the filling, and I'm going to do one with potatoes, plantain and squash with amazing Indian flavours. We're going to begin the story with 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, a heaped teaspoon of mustard seeds, a teaspoon of fenugreek seeds, turmeric in the corner. I don't really want to over toast that. Then we're going to add these incredible curry leaves.
Then finally chop a 10cm piece of ginger, 2 red chillies and add to the pan.
Look at those colours, oh my Lord. And then we'll go in with 3 small red onions. The potatoes, it just kind of gives it that starchy stodge that I like. Then there's this little fella, the plantain. I mean, it looks like a banana, but it's more starchy, more substantial. It's fantastic. And then I've got some amazing squash. Look at the colour. I mean, this is really nutritious, delicious, colourful food with spices and herbs. Honestly, when you eat this, it's going to blow your mind.
So pop the tray into the oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit and let the filling cook for an hour.
This is the really exciting bit. We're going to make the sauces and the pickles. The ones that we know probably most is mango chutney. Delicious, but I want to show you one that's full of life, full of vibrance. Take 3 nice, really ripe tomatoes and just gently and carefully grate it. What will happen is it will mush the flesh and it will leave you with the skin. On these box graters, see there's a finer side, so I'll use the onion for that. And the acidity in the tomatoes is going to kind of like almost pickle the onion. It's just going to have that kind of nice saucery tang to it.
Grate in a small piece of ginger, season with salt, and add the zest and juice of a lime.
And the lime juice will be like a ray of sunshine. So simple, so quick. Very delicious. So the next chutney I'm going to do is coconut chutney. Buy yourself a fresh coconut, get yourself something heavy, and give it a nice little whack. And then get a fork. And it's a bit laborious, but you just scratch it in a crisscross fashion, and you get this really nice kind of grated texture that I love. It's so tropical. So that goes into a pestle and mortar, and then I'm going to use another little piece of white onion and another little piece of ginger. Then pound it up to a mush. Lime juice, again, for that real freshness. Have a little taste. Wow. The next and last one I'm going to do is a lemon pickle. It's so good. And we're going to eat and use the flesh and the skin. And I make this a lot. A little oil in the corner of a pan. I'll then go in with a pinch of cumin, a teaspoon of black mustard seeds. I'll add the curry leaves here. We can spice it up with red or green chilies. As those curry leaves become beautifully crisp, then we simply go in with our lemons. So 30 seconds in a pan is all you need. But what's really mad is something very magical happens as this now cools down. The natural pectin in the lemon starts to create a kind of, almost a coating. It becomes a bit pickly. Who wouldn't want to dip something in that? Oh. Right, have a look at this, guys. I mean, that, my friends, is an amazing vegetable dish in its own right. But today, that's going to be smushed up a little bit and put in this incredible dosa. So let's get back to the batter. So in the sort of 15 hours that this has been fermenting, there's been an absolute party going on here, and that's what's going to give it that lightness and that flavour.
Season the batter with salt and pour a ladle into a lightly oiled non-stick pan.
Try and get this dosa as thin as you can. That fermenting, I can smell it now, it's that kind of beeriness. And as that cooks, it'll get crisp and thin. Now what we're going to do is we're going to load it. Wowzers. I mean, look at the thinness of this. And happy days. This is like no pancake you've ever had before. This, guys, is a dosa. Those intelligent, brilliant Indian flavours that I love so much. Right, enough talking. Let's do it. As I tear off little bits, I can go in and kind of take some of that tomato chutney and maybe a bit of, you know, the coconut. Mmm. Oh my Lord. Smiles all round. It's absolutely phenomenal. I don't even want to talk, I just want to eat. It's the weekend and it's time for an incredible roast like you've never had before. I'm going to show you how to make gunpowder lamb, an amazing Southern Indian-inspired dish, gnarly, crispy outsides, but blushing and sweet in the middle, with incredible coconut rice, pineapple salsa, the best feasting meal ever.
And it all starts with a gorgeous leg of lamb. So ask your butcher to debone and butterfly it for you.
So if we look at the lamb here, I want to just kind of accentuate opening it out. So I'll just score it a little bit here. So I'm kind of evening out the thicknesses. Now, the reason for butterflying it is kind of opening it out like a book, exposing surface area, but allowing a paste or a marinade to really get in there. So now we're ready for some flavour. The gunpowder spice mix. It's actually called poddy in southern India. Gunpowder meaning it's got kick. I'm just going to toast some spices. Go in with 2 teaspoons of coriander seeds and then 2 teaspoons of fenugreek. Black pepper, wonderful. And then I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of turmeric, 2 sweet cayenne, and then 2 of these brilliant little dried chilies. Fantastic. It's getting smoky, so you're waking up the flavour. Add a good pinch of sea salt. Give it a muddle first, like this, and then start bashing. So now we have that luminous powder. We can kind of put some wet elements in. 2 cloves of garlic, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 2 tablespoons of vinegar. The smell is off the chart. Time to get our hands going. Let's get all that paste out, get all the flavour in all the cracks and crannies. So in it goes. Look at that. So I'm going to go over to a griddle pan now. This is preheated onto high. Then once it's been bar marked perfectly on both sides, which is like 5 minutes of cooking, it's still raw, but then we're going to finish it by roasting. The best of both worlds. Charry smoky and then juicy gentle. Love that.
Char grilling in a shed can be a bit smoky.
Yes!
So open those windows or get outside and cook it on a barbecue for even better flavour. Then pop the lamb into the oven at 200 degrees Celsius and let it cook to perfection for around 20 to 25 minutes.
Next up, let's make a salsa like no other salsa. Pineapple, they use it a lot in the south of India, in curries and pickles. I really love it. So first up, we have to peel it. Follow the curve of the pineapple. Beautiful. Cut alongside the core. Get that on the grill. Then we want some onion. Cut it into quarters. And again, these will go onto the grill. So while that's going, let's create some background flavour. First up, lime, the zest. And if you imagine some of these fragrant elements with the rich lamb, it's going to work so well. Look at that. I'm going to use just a little bit of coriander stalks. Some people discard these, but if you finely slice them, they're so delicious and crunchy. A little chilli in. So let's get the onions and the pineapple. These will be quite sweet now. Look at that. So, salsa done. Now, what we're going to do is the most amazing coconut rice. A tablespoon of vegetable oil goes in, then go in with a couple of teaspoons of mustard seed. Then we go in with curry leaves. And as they're frying, I'm going to get a couple of chilies, scrape the seeds out. That's removing most of the heat. And then in there we go too. So let me give you a fail-safe rice quantity. So for 4 people, you want 1 builder's mug of rice. Now, to every cup of rice, you want 2 cups of water. Season it, and then last but not least, some coconut cream. It's got the most fantastic tropical flavour. And I'm gonna crumble that in. The gas is on full whack. That'll take about 12 minutes to cook until light and fluffy. Then I'm gonna turn the heat down and let it kind of sizzle to give you a crust. This has had just over 20 minutes. Look at that. We'll let that rest, and we want that to rest for like 15 minutes, okay? Gunpowder juices. Oh my lordy lord. What I want to do now is a beautiful, simple mint yogurt. Get yourself a nice little bunch of mint. Put it in there with a good pinch of salt. Smash it up to like a little paste. Take some beautiful organic yogurt and then marble it in. Look at that. Let's get it going. I'm very, very excited. Gunpowder lamb. Imagine carving this at the table. It's time for the rice. Before you get to burning, right, there is a really sweet spot that's called crispy bits. So go around the rim of the pan with a little spatula, because what you're doing is trying to make it not stick. I want to turn it out like a sandcastle, right? Put this plate or board on top and just confidently go 1, 2, 3. Fluffy on the inside, crispy on the outside. I've got a few little poppadoms in the story, beautiful. And then I've got the lamb. We then have that complete surprise contrast of that pineapple salsa. A nice little bit of mint yogurt, absolutely beautiful. A few little bits of coriander, and Bob's your uncle. It's time to eat. All right. There's so many exciting things going on. Gunpowder spices, the gnarly outside with that really juicy, blushing inside that's sweet and delicious. And then you go for the mint sauce, the coconut rice, then the pineapple salsa. Davina, Jimmy, and everyone in the cafe, they're going to be making some very happy noises. Right, Davina, you're going to love this one.
Do you know what I love? I love lots of little bitty bits.
Yes. Please get stuck in.
Oh my God, I love food so much.
Good.
That coconut rice is so nice. The lamb's very tender. Oh, I just got a bit of a kick.
Yeah, you just got a bit of chili kick.
Got a bit of gunpowder.
That was so nice.
To get you lot all feasting this weekend, I'm cooking up the perfect treat.
Time to do something incredible that you're gonna love, something a bit special. We're gonna make homemade ravioli with smashed potato, sweet onions, radicchio, fontina cheese, and parmesan. Little edible parcels that people are gonna go mad for. So it all starts with the filling, and this filling is a different one, right? It's actually a potato filling. Take 2 potatoes, give them a little stab up with a fork, and then we're gonna throw them straight into the oven at about 200 degrees Celsius for about an hour. And then the rest of the filling is super, super simple. Take a red onion, cut those into quarters with some radicchio. It's an Italian salad leaf. It's bitter and crunchy. I want to season this with salt, pepper, nice extra virgin olive oil, and a generous drizzle of balsamic vinegar. I've got some lovely thyme here, and that's going to be amazing. Get some greaseproof paper, tuck that up into bed. So, let that roast away for about 40 minutes to an hour, and then both of them will be raring to go. But of course, to wrap that filling, we need the pasta. So, in a bowl, add 400 grams of pasta flour, and then in there, about 70 grams of semolina. And then we're going to use 12 egg yolks. So what we get is pasta that is silky. I mean, look, the point of making your own pasta is to do something exceptional, something extraordinary. So last one goes in, happy days. Add a little bit of water, and you can add just a little bit of oil. And then we'll use a fork to start off with. You want it tacky, but not sticky. You want it pliable and malleable, but, you know, not hard. If it's too hard, add some water. If it's too wet and sticky, add some flour. Easy. Now that we've got a nice little texture in this bowl, let's knead it. So put your weight into it, push it away, bring it back. There's no real right or wrong way to do it. Once you've done that for about 5 minutes, what you'll have is an amazingly silky, elastic dough. And if you touch it, you can see it bouncing back. So what we need to do is now let it relax. So cover it in a damp cloth or a little bit of cling film. So wrap it up like that. That'll be ready in about half an hour, 40 minutes, and then we can make ravioli.
Once cooked, take the fillings out of the oven, finely chop the radicchio and onion, and scoop out the potato from their skins.
And then cheese is going to be what kind of makes this sort of holy trinity of flavors. So I'm using Parmesan, but I'm also using Fontina. But the nice thing about this is you can use any cheese you can get your hands on, as long as it melts nicely and it tastes delicious.
Mix it all together and season to perfection.
Take chunks about this big. Just roll them into little balls. And of course, the size of your ball will control the size of your ravioli. So now for the exciting bit. It's very, very simple. I use the pasta machine, and I think that is much, much easier and more consistent. So for the first couple of goes, go onto the widest setting, roll it through, fold it in half, and lightly flour it. And then each time we run it through, we'll go down a notch. So every time you take it down a notch, you're making the pasta sheet thinner and thinner. There is our lovely sheet of pasta. Right, let's lay it out and just put a little bit of water in there. Take our filling and just lay it about 2 centimeters away from the edge. And then once we've done that, just flop it over like this. And it's quite malleable. Use your fingers, not your fingernails. You don't want to cut through the pasta. Use the little curve of your finger to just, you know, slowly hug around that ravioli and go from one side to the other. And then we use our cutter or our knife to just clean up the edge all the way along the length, in between the gaps. And here is your homemade ravioli. That, my friends, is a thing of beauty. We're going to put this into boiling water for about 2.5 minutes. We'll season that water with salt. Now, while that's cooking, what I want to do is toast off some hazelnuts on a medium heat, right? I'll put them into a pestle and mortar. Just pound up half of the nuts to a powder and then just crack some. Then I'll go into the pan with a little olive oil and then some thyme. Then I want to take just a little bit of butter. I'm going to take those delicate ravioli and a little bit of the water into the pan. And the water and the butter will emulsify. Let's plate it up. And you can see how delicate that pasta is. Look at that. Put some of that lovely butter around the plate. Get some of those hazelnuts. And then, bit of Parmesan. And that, my friends, is a ravioli worth savouring. So let's get in there. Oh, my Lord. Flavour explosion. The feel of that fresh pasta is like nothing else. It is so silky. And the flavour you get when you first put it in your mouth is that thyme, butter, and hazelnut. So it's quite light and tangy. But then when you bite into that dark middle, it's basy, it's bitter, sweet, like gorgeous cheese. They are the silkiest, smoothest little mouthfuls of joy that you're ever going to eat. So, something a bit different. Hopefully, we make a good impression.
Look at that.
They do look pretty. Although, before it was cooked, it did look like a symptom of the Black Death.
Well, look, try it and see if you get any symptoms. Oh, look at his face, look at his face, Jim.
Wow, I love it. The crunch of the nuts, very, very nice. You could see yourself doing a hard day's work out on the Tuscan hillsides.
Oh, yes.
Rehearsing a play. And then coming home to this. It's delicious.
When you were a jobbing actor, were you a waiter at any time?
I worked in pubs. I didn't really ever do any waiting, no.
Right, well,
Today's the day.
today is
So
the day.
I'll start cooking some more, and then you have to go and serve these guys.
Okay, all right.
Can you carry 2 or 3?
I could carry, yeah, I could do that.
So you can do
Look at that!
Got it. It's burning my wrist off.
Okay, 4 at the end, sir.
Ravioli.
That's a really nice flavour and a really nice bite to that pasta.
So that's sweet, a little bit sour.
You thought we'd forgotten you. Oh, these aren't for you, actually. They're for... No, they're not. They're for here. There you go.
It's really good.
It's so much more delicate than shop wall pasta. This is like really thin and really nice.
Time to dust off the pasta machine.
This weekend, I'd love you to have a go at this. This is the ultimate meatloaf, right? This is something that I really love. Comfort food at its best. It's big, feasting, family food.
This meatloaf is always a winner with my lot. Classically comforting and then ramped up a notch with pork and beef for flavour and juiciness, oozy mozzarella and a jacket of smoked bacon. All served with aromatic fennel, lashings of gravy and a volcano of mashed potato.
Okay, first job. It's super simple. Let's get the veg cooking.
Throw a swig of olive oil into a large pan. Tear up some fresh sage and rosemary, then add 2 chopped onions and 2 carrots to make a rich veggie base.
Just a little bit of seasoning, and we'll slowly fry that on a medium-low heat for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Let it caramelise, let the flavours sweeten and really intensify. Then we'll let it cool down, and then that'll go in the meatloaf, and it will make all the difference.
Next up, fennel, the surprising star ingredient to make this meatloaf sing. I'm using 4 medium bulbs, sliced into wedges.
They're crunchy and they're aniseedy, but as you slow cook them or roast them, they just become sweet and savoury and have depth of flavour. Absolutely beautiful.
Lay the bulbs in the bottom of a roasting pan. Add a few chopped fennel tops for extra flavour and season and drizzle with olive oil. Give it all a good toss and then roast in the oven for 30 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit.
Okay, so the fennel has been roasting, and look, it's half cooked. That's looking very nice. This has cooled down, right? And it's lovely and sweet and gorgeous. So let's make the meatloaf, okay? And meatloaf can be made out of any blend of mincemeat, but let's get really into it. This is what makes it good or great to incredible.
For the best flavour, I'm using 1 kilo of pork shoulder and 1 kilo of beef brisket, but you can go for any good quality mince you like. Add your cooled down veg and 200 grams of breadcrumbs to absorb the juices and give the meatloaf lightness.
And then we're going to go in with 2... Aye. You all right?
Yeah.
Do you want to do some cooking?
Yeah.
Next, my 2 little helpers will crack in 2 eggs.
Eggs go in the middle.
Add a generous sprinkling of salt and pepper, 2 teaspoons of whole grain mustard, and then, to take this meatloaf to the next level, tear in a ball of creamy mozzarella.
We've got the seasoning and the veg, and the breadcrumbs soak up all the fat, and it's juicy and delicious. But then you get these little bombs of mozzarella that are gooey and sort of just gorgeous.
With all the elements added, it's all hands on deck for the mixing.
So try and keep it in the bowl. The points for keeping it in the bowl. I know this is a problem for you. Keep it in the bowl.
Make sure that all the ingredients are evenly distributed so that every bite will be layered with flavour. Once mixed, form it into a loaf shape. and lay it in your dish of half-roasted fennel.
Now, we're going to roast it, but we want to do more. We want to add more flavour. So grab the bacon, please, buddy.
Crisscross the rashers of smoked bacon, leaving gaps so the rich fat can kiss the meat and the top can go crispy and golden. Then, to keep it nice and juicy, wet some greaseproof paper, cover, and tuck it into bed. Pop the meatloaf into the oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit and roast it initially for 30 minutes.
OK, so it's had half an hour and it's basically cooked now, but without character. I want to create an incredible sauce, and there's a really simple way to do that.
Take 500 ml of beef, chicken or veg stock, add a tablespoon of sun-dried tomato paste, then 2 tablespoons of blackcurrant jam, and give it a good stir.
So all we do now is pour that over, and like any gravy, all the sticky bits off the bottom of the tray will start to blend really nice. Look at that.
Finish by scattering some sage and rosemary rubbed in a little olive oil over the meatloaf. Then pop it back into the oven for another 45 minutes to let all those gorgeous flavours come together.
So, the meatloaf is done. And this is what you get, ladies and gents.
Yum.
Look at that. Lovely gravy, gorgeous golden meatloaf.
Serve with fresh, lightly blanched greens, and then a proper 80s favourite. A volcano of creamy mashed potato erupting with melted butter.
Cabbage, volcano potatoes, lovely meatloaf. You ready to try some?
Yeah.
You know, the point is we don't want a dry meatloaf, so if we look in here, it's juicy.
So there you have it, guys. A classic weekend comforting meatloaf, deeply flavoured with smoked bacon and mozzarella on a bed of aromatic fennel, swimming in gorgeous gravy. The ultimate centrepiece for a family feast.
Absolutely comforting, delicious, deep flavour.
Really nice.
So juicy and tasty. The sweetness from the jam in the sauce is off the chart good. And then the fennel. Guys in the cafe, I'm gonna look after you. You're gonna love it. OK, guys, you're going to love this one. We're going to do the most incredible fish pie. And I've done my fair share over the years of these little bad boys, but this fish pie is a really posh one.
This is the ultimate weekend treat. Not only packed with succulent fish, king prawns and scallops, it's got a whole fresh lobster in it. A cream sauce made with Prosecco, and it's topped off with a ridiculously crispy, cheesy mash. It's pretty special.
I've got a nice array of fish here, beautiful hake. I've got some trout, some little lemon soles, some prawns, scallops. You know, we want a kilo of fish, and you just mix that up, whatever's in season, whatever's good. All kind of prepped, pin-boned, no skin, ready and raring to go.
But the star of this dish is the lobster. Mine is boiled in water with some sprigs of fresh dill for 8 minutes.
So what I want to do is first up, show you how to break down this lobster. Now, don't be scared of it. You can actually buy them cooked if you want. I think it's nice always to get a live one in because you know the freshness. We've got the 2 claws here, like that. We can deal with those in a minute. Then you've got the body here. Just twist the tail off. This is where the meat is, OK? Claw meat and the tail meat.
First, let's tackle the tail.
Put your weight on it, on its side. You hear it crunch, and then we'll pull the meat out, easy as pie, OK?
Next, the claws. They'll come in 2 segments.
Just joint it like that and like that. Actually, some of the most incredible meat comes from meat. That's my favourite bit of the whole lobster, right in there. Such sweet meat. It's a little bit like ribs, you know, just delicious and tender.
Now for the pincers.
The best way to do this is use a spoon and the palm of your hand and just crack it like a boiled egg. Turn it over. Look at that. Such a joy.
Chop up the meat and that'll go in the pie later. but we're also going to use the body and all the leftover shells as a base for an incredible sauce. So pop it all in a pan.
What I want to do is just bash this up. Stand back, it could be messy. That's going to give you the most amazing flavour, trust me.
Then add 600 ml of semi-skimmed milk. Pop on a low heat with the lid on and simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. Meanwhile, you can crack on with the rest of the sauce. So grab another frying pan.
So we'll go in with some oil. We'll go in with a tiny knob of butter.
Finely chop 1 fennel bulb, stalks and all. 1 carrot, 1 onion, 1 leek, and throw it all in the pan. Season, then leave to sweat gently on a low heat.
The whole point is not to rush it. So if that milk's going for 20 minutes, let this go for 20 minutes, and you'll get the most incredible, intense, sweet depth of flavour.
Next, for the topping. I've boiled and drained 2 kilos of Maris pipers and left them to steam. Go in with a knob of butter, salt and pepper, half a teaspoon of cayenne for a subtle hum of heat, and finally, 75 grams of red Leicester cheese.
I love red Leicester. It's got that beautiful colour, and I'm just going to grate that in. And it's really oozy and beautifully flavoured and very, very British.
Then give it a good mash.
I always find adding a little bit of milk just makes it a little bit more fluffy.
Right, back to the sauce. Your veggies should now be soft and sticky. So go in with 2 heaped tablespoons of plain flour to thicken and 2 heaped teaspoons of English mustard. Give it a good stir and it's ready for the Prosecco.
Really luxurious, really, really nice, delicious.
Pour in a large glass, stir, then gradually ladle in the flavoured milk, stirring again until creamy.
Let's just take a slurp. This is what makes this fish pie go up 10 gears. Unbelievable, sweet, delicious lobster flavour in plain old milk.
All you need to do now is build the pie. Grab a big baking dish, or you can divide over a couple of smaller ones. And simply layer up with sliced kale and chard, or whatever seasonal greens you like. Chop the fish into chunks, mix it all up with the scallops and prawns, and scatter evenly.
Nothing worse than one of your friends complaining they didn't get a bit of this or a bit of that. And last but not least, our lovely chopped and picked lobster. Gorgeous. What a treat. Now time for that ridiculous sauce. This is kind of the engine behind the dish. It's going to join up the flavour from everything that's in there, all the different fishes. Top it off with a little cheddar, just 50 grams. Again, it's more of a seasoning than anything else, so a nice little grating over the top.
Finally, it's ready for the mash. You can spoon it on if you like, but piping it will give you the ultimate crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside topping.
I'm just going to go for a nice double little run here.
Pop in a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit, and bake for 1 hour until golden and bubbly.
Ah, come on, Eileen. Welcome to the wonderful world of posh fish pie.
Crispy, cheesy potatoes, sumptuous fish, and luxurious seafood, all wrapped up in a flavour-packed lobster and Prosecco sauce. Served with whatever veggies you love.
Stop it. Stop it. Oh, it's so good. That is probably one of my favourite fish pies ever. So I've got a perfect recipe for this weekend, meat and potatoes. 2 best friends. This is a match made in heaven.
This knockout rack of lamb with a feisty pistachio and parsley crust, served with a luxurious potato al forno, is as big on flavour as it is easy to cook.
First up, the potato dish. Let's start with that.
Into a large pan, pour 600 millilitres of milk and 400 millilitres of double cream. Then throw in 3 or 4 bay leaves, a couple of sprigs of rosemary, a pinch of pepper and salt, and 6 anchovy fillets.
It will give you the most incredible depth of flavour that you won't want to be without.
Grate in half a nutmeg. Then you want to add 8 cloves of garlic.
Yes, you heard it right. 8 cloves of garlic. Pongy, gorgeous garlic. This is the dish to do it, guys.
Bring it to a light simmer on a medium heat while you finely slice a kilo of potatoes.
This potato dish is one of my favourite potato dishes ever.
Next, slice up 2 bulbs of fennel and 2 onions.
So let's have a little look at that. We don't want to just boil and boil and boil it. It's an infusion, just to get the party started.
Fish out the rosemary and the bay leaves. Grate in about 50 grams of parmesan, then add the potatoes, fennel and onions to the pan. And even if it's a bit messy, it's okay. Mix it all together, then pack it down.
I'm just going to do a nice final layer of potatoes on top. There's no reason to do this other than it just kind of looks cute.
Cover with tin foil and then whack it in the oven and bake at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit for an initial half an hour. Next, the lamb. 1 rack feeds 2 people.
Rack of lamb. It is the prime cut on the whole animal. Absolutely beautiful.
Ask your butcher for a French trimmed rack of lamb with the cap meat removed and the sinews trimmed off. But if you get one that's still got a top layer of fat, it's easy to trim that off yourself.
I want this rack of lamb to be so tender, so melt in your mouth, nothing should get in the way of it, right? Because we're going to put a lovely crust on top of here. And I don't want to chew on anything. I want it to be tender, tender, tender.
Put a little olive oil and butter into a hot pan. Season the lamb with salt and pepper and sear for a few minutes.
The rack of lamb is seared golden, but it's completely raw inside. And then what I want to do is the most unbelievable crust.
Into a food processor, drop 100 grams of pistachios with a bunch of flat leaf parsley. Tear in 75 grams of bread, 2 cloves of garlic, and grate in half a nutmeg.
Lid on and wazz it all up.
While that's going, smear the lamb racks generously with Dijon mustard.
Don't worry, it's going to mellow out in the cooking. It's going to really make this dish. Don't be stingy, because it sticks this crust together and it gives you the most incredible flavour.
Pile the herby crumb onto the lamb and press down to form a crust. Meanwhile, take the foil off the spuds, give them another grate of parmesan on top if you fancy, and put them back into the oven and bake for a further 45 minutes. 10 minutes later, put the lamb into the same oven. It'll need 25 minutes to cook and 10 to rest, so the spuds and the meat will be ready at the same time.
Right, little clean down, glass of wine, and then I'll show you how to serve it up. So the lamb has been out just resting, so all the juices can kind of go back to where they came from. It's looking beautiful. What I like to do is just put a rack, just like that, on a board and let people kind of slice their own at the table. Look at the colour. Really, really nice. And then from the oven, we want our potato and fennel, our forno. Serve it sizzling, just like that.
Garnish with fennel tops, then dish up with a side of green beans.
Let's get in there with the lamb. And of course, the point of the lamb is with that sauce from the potatoes. Just tender. So good.
Gorgeous pink lamb with a wonderful green crust, served with garlicky, fennel-y potato al forno. This is a proper little gem for the weekend.
The guys in the cafe are gonna go nuts at that. Cheers. Enjoy. Have I got an incredible recipe for you this weekend? Okay, we're gonna make pasta and salad. Sounds normal? This is not normal. You're gonna go nuts for this one. We're gonna make carbonara, one of the most loved pastas in the world, but not a normal carbonara. Oh no, we're gonna make cake.
It's got all the flavours of a classic carbonara with spaghetti, succulent ham, and an amazing blend of creamy cheeses, all baked into a mouth-watering cake.
Let's do it. I've got a pan of water here. I'm going to boil 300 grams of pasta in here, like that. We just cook it according to packet instructions. Of course, if you want to use any pasta you like, it's still delicious. I'm using spaghetti just because I like the way it kind of sprawls around, and of course the whole family loves spaghetti.
While it cooks, pour a little olive oil into a 20-centimetre loose-bottom cake tin, and then grate in 10 grams of Parmesan.
As a kind of guarantee of crispiness and goldenness, I'm just going to grate the Parmesan into our mould here, and then I'll move it around like that.
Next, we need 250 grams of ham. I'm taking it off the bone, but you can use any kind of cooked ham you like.
What I'm going to do, just to kind of mimic the spaghetti, I'm going to cut it into little threads, like this. You can tear it up if you want. There's no right or wrong way to do it.
For the sauce, go in with 3 large eggs, 250 millilitres of double cream, and 90 grams of hard cheese. For me, a killer combo is 50-50 Parmesan and cheddar.
And really importantly, for that beautiful carbonara hit, is plenty of black pepper. So 2 big pinches of that.
I'm going to add a lovely hit of rosemary to the mix. And to help you out, dip it in boiling water to release that gorgeous fragrance.
Always quite a nice thing to do with woody herbs, because all the essential oils are kind of cold, like butter in a fridge. Just dip it in some hot water and you get the most incredible smell coming out.
Rip up 3 sprigs and sprinkle them around. Just mix in the drained and cooled spaghetti and coat with the lovely rich creamy sauce. Simple.
And then what I like to do is just pull it around a bit, make a few bits of pasta, go up at the edge, and that's it. Lovely people, that's it.
Bake this beauty for 35 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit until it goes gorgeously golden and crispy.
Right, time for the carbonara cake. Come on. Have a look at that, guys. Absolutely beautiful. Sizzling away.
Allow it to cool for a couple of minutes to firm up before you release it from its tin.
So you ready for it? So there you go, guys. Welcome to the wonderful world of carbonara cake.
Golden and crispy on the outside, with a creamy, gooey centre, served with a crispy, zingy salad and an ice-cold beer. Delicious.
Let's get in there. Let's have a little try. Let's destroy this beautiful thing. Oh yeah. I really, really like this. What a joy. Something we know, but a little bit different. Jimmy and everyone at the cafe, you're gonna love this.
So here we have some carbonara cake and some salad for you.
Oh, this little crispy bit here. The crispy bits are lovely, aren't they?
Really crunchy.
Really good.
It is like a slice of cake, but it's not cake. It's really deceiving, isn't it?
This is absolutely delicious.
It's so good. I've never seen a carbonara like this.
Nice and gooey on the inside.
Oh, amazing.
Crispy on the outside.
Definitely the best carbonara I've ever had.
I think all cakes should be made of pasta, is what I think.
Ah, you want pie, do you? Well, I've got a pie for you. We are going to make roasted meat pie. You heard it, roasted meat pie. Not just boiled meat pie, roasted. Extra flavour, extra texture, and extra smiles. Come on!
This pie is packed full of roasted succulent game birds to give you a special something this weekend.
We have a chicken over here, but then we have mallard, we have pheasant, we have a beautiful grouse, we have partridge. The list goes on and on that you could use, but mix it up.
We're going to dress them with olive oil, seasoning and crushed juniper berries before bashing up some thyme, rosemary and bay leaves for an aromatic herby hit.
Beautiful natural colours and flavours.
Then it's an hour in the oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit.
So while those birds roast away in the oven, let's start the story with the ragu. We're going to start off with some gorgeous smoked, dry-cured bacon. The flavour that you get, the smoke, the fat that will render out. A couple of bay leaves go in, maybe a little sprig of rosemary, and then we can start adding the veg.
This is a classic ragu base of juicy carrots, sweet red onions, leeks and celery.
You know, it's this frying and the breaking down of all the natural sugars. That's where the massive flavour is. That's where you're going to put something in your mouth and go, wow.
Once the veggies have softened, add some chunky potatoes and season. Oh yes.
Because the birds are going to be roasting for like another 45 minutes, let's let that slowly sweat off for 45 minutes. Oh my Lord, the flavour you will get by just slowing it down is amazing.
And it will be so worth the wait.
What a beautiful, beautiful sight. Literally, just pull the whole thing apart. What you're going to feel is the difference in texture. For the people that have never eaten game before, this is your opportunity, guys, because you can have your chicken and just a few bits of game. And then if you like it, add a little bit more next time and a bit more next time. The grouse. And now we're on to the pheasant. Normally, if you're getting game birds in season, it's very reasonable.
All these bones will make a brilliant stock for another day.
There's just flavour and value everywhere. Don't throw nothing away. 2 tablespoons of plain flour go in. That's your thickening agent. And then in with about 500 millilitres of cider. Cheers to that.
Give it a stir and boost its flavour even more with good chicken stock and those incredible roasting juices from the tray.
Maximum flavour.
And all that delicious meat.
And that, my friends, is going to be the most mega stew ever.
So we'll strain it before it goes in to give you the perfect pie consistency, and then we've got loads of gravy for pouring later.
Pastry time! We're going to go half butter, half suet. To that, we're going to add 800 grams of plain flour, a good pinch of salt, 3 lovely eggs, and then find that fat and just use your thumbs to mix it in.
A splash of water, and the whole thing should start to come together.
It's going to look a bit rough and ready. That's fine. You want to keep it short. If you keep kneading it, it won't be crumbly. Right, can you see there's still chunks of suet in here? I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to let that cool down, and then we'll fill it.
And be patient, it's the weekend. Chilling it will stop your pastry shrinking during cooking and make it easier to roll.
Let's make this pie. I want to go about ½ centimetre thick, then roll it back up. Olive oil into a dish, get right up the sides. We get our filling. What's nice about it chilling again is the gravy kind of solidifies. So you want to just chivvy in this edge, this rim, like that. Just tuck it under like this. What I want to do is put my thumb in here and pinch around it. You know, you can get all kinds of cutters, you can get leaves, you can do plaits, you can do shapes, all sorts. But to be honest, at the weekend, I've put enough love into it. Just use 2 fingers and a thumb and you'd be amazed what you can achieve. And a beautiful roasted meat pie has been born. Happy days. Just egg wash the centre part. And I do want to just create a little star to relieve the steam, and look at that. It's going to be amazing.
After an hour in the oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit, your wonderful weekend feast will emerge.
Look, you can see how crispy that pastry is going to be. Wow. Oh, guys, look at that, look at the flake. Look at the thickness of that pastry there. You know that people are going to fight for that. There's never enough pastry, is there? But we got it bottom, side and top, and a big old handle, a love handle, which you'll definitely get if you keep eating too much pie. But for this weekend, only yes! Just hit it up with some seasonal greens. Oh. It is nuts. Loads of different flavours happening there, different chunks of meat. It's the weekend! Time for some beautiful finger-licking ribs.
This is a proper weekend treat. Melt in your mouth whiskey wood-smoked baby back ribs with homemade barbecue sauce and a perfectly light potato salad. Not American style, not Asian style or Korean style, British style. So first up, you'd normally make a rub, but I'm gonna switch that for a flavoured salt. And we're adding 100 grams of sea salt, and then probably around 50 grams of white pepper, whole corns going in like that, 2 tablespoons. And then I'm gonna use 10 fresh bay leaves. Just use a couple of tablespoons of the salt and give them a nice massage with a splash of olive oil. You can save the rest for another recipe. So before we wrap this up, we want to add a little bit of moisture. So you could use water, or you could use a little whiskey. Just a shot. That's the ribs oven ready. The sauce is just as simple, kicking off with a splash more whiskey. Just because I'm flamboyant these days, what I want to do is just set light to that. It'll just evaporate the alcohol and bring out more caramelised, rounder notes. You don't have to do it. Just don't burn the place down. This is going to give the ribs a knockout sticky glaze full of British flavours. Brown sauce, tomato sauce and Worcestershire sauce. This is the crazy sauce. It couldn't be simpler. We're decanting stuff that most of us have in our cupboard. A whole jar of English mustard, a bottle of apple juice and a jar of runny honey. It's quintessentially British. It's about that tang and that beautiful finish on the palate. Bring the whole lot to a boil and it's ready to reduce in the oven. I am going to put the ribs on the top, whack the sauce in the bottom. We're going to cook it at 140 degrees Celsius. Leave your ribs alone for 3 hours and enjoy the weekend. By the time you're back, the ribs will be beautifully soft. Whee! If I pull the meat here, you know, it's tender. We want the barbecue sauce to just coat it. You know, it's quite good to pour it instead of brush it. I think you get a better appearance. We can just move our ribs around and just coat them. Gorgeous. So get your bars out of the oven. And then what I want to do is just rack them up like that. All the leftover sauce can be bagged up or used at the table for dipping. So these go back in. These need another 30 minutes for the sauce to fix to them. And there's a genius hack that I do all the time to get them all smoky. You can easily get yourself some wood chips sold for smoking. You can get fruit woods or even bourbon and whiskey barrel. If you're blagging it at home, a metal sieve like this, you can just grab a little handful of these chips. You just catch them on fire. So it's not dangerous, okay? And then we'll put this in the oven. You can see the flame subside and the smoke rotate around the whole oven. It's a brilliant little hack for a little house smoker. You don't have to do this, but if you do, make sure your sieve is stainless steel. And if in doubt, check with your oven manufacturer that it's safe. So let's do an epic potato salad. I'm massively reducing the usual calories by using yoghurt instead of mayonnaise, flavoured with good extra virgin olive oil, whole grain mustard, finely sliced pickled onions, and a little vinegar from the jar, and chives. And then last but not least, a little surprise ingredient, pear. You know, that little bit of sweetness and crunch really works well. This is about having contrast and surprise. Mix in chopped up soft-boiled new potatoes whilst they're still warm so they absorb all the dressing much better. It's still creamy, it's still absolutely indulgent. Give it a last kiss of extra virgin olive oil and a flourish of chives. Now, let's get the ribs. Smells amazing. That barbecue sauce just tightens up. It's the perfect surround for that tender, delicious meat. Wow. Let's get a nice wodge of that potato salad. Get those beautiful, beautiful ribs. Amazing home-smoked British ribs, finished with a little extra sauce and sliced radishes for a peppery crunch. And that, my friends, is a beautiful, beautiful plate of food. Come on, let's get in there. Oh, tender meat, so spicy, sweet and sour, and proper potato salad. Really joyful, perfect for the weekend.
There's nothing better than cooking something delicious for friends or family, and you don't have to wait to the end of the weekend to do a beautiful roast. Introducing pot roast pork, wrapped in cured meat with sage and garlic, and a side dish of celeriac, spinach, and some compotted apple and rhubarb. Oh yes, let's do this. So this is a beautiful piece of pork loin. It's about 1 kilo. We've removed belly and fat to make it convenient. So it's going to cook really evenly, but we have lost flavour. So we've got to add it back in. So we'll do that by creating an amazing marinade and wrapping it in the cured meat. First up, I'm going to use a fantastic herb, sage. The smell is amazing. And then I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. Take your pestle and smash it up. Then go in with 2 cloves of garlic. Once the garlic has been smashed, then finish off the marinade process with 2 tablespoons of oil and about 1 tablespoon or 2 of red wine vinegar. That, my friends, is unbelievable flavour potential. Pour it over the pork, and then we can have a nice little rub up. Let's have a look at the cured meat for wrapping. So take a piece of greaseproof paper. We'll rub that with a little olive oil. And then here I'm using a cured meat called Coppa di Parma. But of course you can use Parma ham, use whatever you can get your hands on. And I'm just gonna lay out this incredible cured meat, turn this, take that amazing cut of pork. We're using simply rolling and gravity to wrap that, okay? Now at this stage, we wanna secure it. So I'm gonna take some string, do a double knot, and pull it fairly tight, right? We want to secure that to the pork. And there you go. Something truly beautiful and ready for cooking. So pan goes on, just a little bit of olive oil, a little knob of butter, and as it starts to bubble and fry, we'll go in with this incredible piece of pork. Listen to that, come on, that's what it's all about. Now, we will just move this pork around and we'll achieve a little bit of light golden colour.
While the pork browns, slice up a stick of celery, cut the red onion into wedges and add to the pan with a couple of sprigs of rosemary.
It's just lovely, savoury flavours. This is going to be beautiful. So, you know, as it starts to fry and get golden and crisp, then we add a little Chianti, just a little. We don't want to boil, and that's going to create the most amazing sort of humid, delicious environment where the fat and the Chianti is just kind of creating this shiny cream that just bastes the meat. That's pot roasting. So it's going in the oven for about 40 minutes. Every 10 minutes, I'll turn it and baste it. And this will give you golden, delicious, moist pork. What I'll do now is bang this in an oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit. It's gonna be truly amazing. So as that beautiful pork cooks, what could go with it? I'm thinking celeriac. You can steam it, grill it, you can mash it, you can pretty much treat it like a parsnip or a potato, but also most of the flavour is in the skin. So I've had a proper little scrub up. Generously sort of cut off those lobes of skin. There you go. So all I do here is a little seasoning and a little oil, celeriac cracklings in the bottom of the oven.
Into a new pan, add a tablespoon of olive oil, a few sprigs of thyme, and go in with the chopped celeriac.
And about half an hour of cooking and that will be beautiful. As that's happening, I want to do a compote. Apples, very, very traditional, quite British, but then I'm kind of rifting off into the wonderful world of rhubarb. Sour. It's got that kind of weird sort of tropical slap.
Chunk up the rhubarb and add to the roasting tray. Then peel and chop a red and green apple. Add a pinch of salt and pepper, a tablespoon of brown sugar, a splash of red wine vinegar, and throw in a knob of butter.
So give it a nice little mix up. This goes in the oven. Let's have a look at our pork and give it just another drizzle of the Chianti. Look at that. Just move it over and just add that juice and it's going to be amazing.
Put the pork back in the oven and let it cook away, remembering to turn and baste it every 10 minutes.
Come on! Look at that gorgeous, simple sauce. Now, I'm going to let the meat rest in its juices, right? About 10 minutes. That will give you a tastier, more tender cut of meat. And then here, we have got the celeriac. I want to bring some greens into the story. So baby spinach, 2 bags, get it in there. Use the residual steam, a couple of minutes, and then it's plate up time. So exciting. The smell is phenomenal. Look at this. Come on. Colour, flavour, smells. That's what it's about. If I just push it, look at the moisture coming out of it. Dry pork, no longer. No way, Jose. Different vibe, but it's going to put a massive smile on your face. The idea of sauce, gravy. Right, we're not going to have pints of the stuff, sorry. But what I'll give you in return is flavour like you've never had before. And we've got a roasted rhubarb and apple compote. Crispy celeriac cracklings. Ladies and gentlemen, pot roast pork wrapped in cured meat. Oh, that is so good. Nice bit of the old cured meat, the silky soft pork, and that Chianti juice is so good. Little kiss of sweetness from the compote. That, my friend, is a little fork of heavenly beauty. Oh, what a way to start the weekend. This is going to be an epic weekend feast if you do it properly, with love and care and attention. Gourmet fast food is bang on trend, and this artisan version is delicious. This isn't about bargain buckets, my friends. This is about soul food. Comes in 3 parts, ladies and gents. We've got the brining, we've got buttermilking and flouring. It's going to be incredible. So, part 1. Love, care and attention starts with a brine. What is it going to do? It's going to flavour the meat, it's going to hydrate the meat, so you're going to get a juicy poultry bird. It's really, really clever. To make the flavoured brine, use a handful of black peppercorns, a few sprigs of thyme, 4 fresh bay leaves, and 4 garlic cloves. We're going to add 100 grams of salt. You're not going to eat all of that, so don't start getting all worried about, you know, health and stuff like that. This is a brine. And 100 grams of brown sugar. Quite like the brown sugar, it's got a more complex flavour. It's obviously less refined. Finish with 400 ml of water. Give it all a stir and bring it to the boil. Then take it off the heat. Add another 400 millilitres of water in there. Let this fully cool down, and then I'm going to submerge this meat into there. It's going to kind of be the ultimate chicken. We want a sweet, sticky meat for this finger-licking good feast, so 4 free-range chicken drumsticks and 4 thighs. Keep the skin on and score right down to the bone. This, of course, will let flavour in. It will also let the flour stick to more surface area, and that means more crispy bits. So in with the thighs and in with the drumsticks. I think that you know this is going to be good. So just cover that with some greaseproof paper or cling film it. Whack it in the fridge, and I put it in there overnight, 12 hours minimum, and that's the beginning of the incredible flavour process. See you in 12. Now, if you touch the chicken, it feels slightly firmer, but also it has grown in volume, it's hydrated it. It's probably gained about 10%. Give it a little shake and straight into a Ziploc bag. Then, guys, you're ready for stage 2. Buttermilk, you can get it in all the supermarkets. It's kind of like a liquid yogurt. And in marinade, it's absolutely spectacular. Why? Because the acidity in it just has this incredible way of breaking down sort of tough meat. And it's going to help to flavour and tenderise this chicken. So I'm going to squeeze the air out of the bag, and there we go. That can get wrapped up, and we put that in the fridge for another 8 hours. And you might be thinking, is it worth it while we do it? Of course, just get a bit of chicken. Just put it in flour and fry it. It won't taste anything like this. You know, you can always cheat, but fantastic feasts at the weekend are about preparing for it. So, now it's the exciting bit. This is the kind of secret spice bit that they say, you know, so many secret blended spices and stuff like that. It's not that secret, I'll give it to you. Start with 200 grams of plain flour. Then it's just 1 teaspoon each of baking powder, smoked paprika, cayenne, and onion and garlic powder. Season with salt and pepper and give it a good old mix. Then go in with the chicken. Just get your fingers in and have a good old toss around. You've given this chicken some serious TLC. Now it's time to fry. Half fill a sturdy pan with sunflower oil and heat to 180 degrees Celsius. So I'm gonna do like a two-tone cooking. Colour it up and get it crispy in the oil. As soon as it looks nice and golden and gorgeous, after about 5 minutes, put it in the tray. Do the same with the thighs, and that way we can then put it in the oven for about half an hour until the meat comes away from the bone and it will be crisp and gorgeous. Drumsticks first, slowly put them in. It's looking very, very beautiful already.
For one final aromatic flavour hit, grab a few sprigs of thyme, dip in some excess oil in the tray, and then sprinkle it all over the chicken.
So I'm gonna whack this in the oven now at 170 degrees Celsius. Next up, I'm gonna show you the most incredible red cabbage pickle kind of salad that goes with it and is amazing.
Start by toasting a big handful of fennel seeds in a hot pan. In a separate bowl, go in with 100 millilitres of red wine vinegar, 1 tablespoon of sugar, a pinch of salt, and finally, those toasted fennel seeds. This is going to be an incredible base for the cabbage.
With the red cabbage, we just want to basically finely slice it.
Then it's straight into the pickling vinegar and really give it a good old mix-up. Go on, get your hands in there.
When you're tossing it up, feel free to sort of scrunch it a little bit. Let's have a taste. Mmm, so good.
Time to bring all this southern goodness together.
Pickle first. Get your incredible crispy chicken. Look at that. I know, I'm so excited. For me personally, what I love about this and the whole kind of idea of this is you take something junk and you apply the old values. Love, care, attention, the brining, the marinating, the flour with the secret blend or not so secret blend. And we create a mountain of delicious, loved food.
This is finger-licking chicken like you've never tasted before. Super crispy on the outside, ultra juicy and tender on the inside. And to set it off perfectly, I'm serving it with baked sweet potatoes, peppery watercress, wedges of lemon, and of course, my crunchy, vibrant, fresh pickle. This is the most fantastically indulgent weekend feast that everyone will love.
Purple, orange, and that golden brown crunch. Let's take a bit of that beautiful chicken, a little squeeze of lemon juice. Oh my God. It's just tender, crispy outside. And look, it's fried, so it is rich. But then when you bang that in your gob, it's so delicious. For me, this is stuff that makes me really, really happy, guaranteed. I love it, and I hope everyone at the cafe loves it as much as I do.
Down at the other end of the pier, I've got a twist on a classic that could change how you cook burgers forever.
For me, at the weekend, I like to do things that make you feel like celebrating food, getting excited, really getting your taste buds going. And actually, it doesn't always have to be posh. We're gonna make the most incredible British burger, the most amazing homemade patty, red Leicester burger sauce, pimped up with pulled oxtail. A British burger like you've never seen before. We're gonna start with oxtail. And before you run away and say, no, you've got to stay with me on this because it's next level stuff. So I've got 1 kilo of oxtail here. You can get it in any butcher's. So some basic seasoning with salt and pepper. And then we're gonna go into a pan and we're gonna brown it off. So you have the benefit of the bone and the marrow, and it gives you a kind of depth of flavor that's amazing. Let's get it really dark and golden and gorgeous. I want this amazing ultimate British burger to represent Britain. Cue the music. That's enough. And I want it to have texture, so patty, melted cheese, pulled meats. But when we put it together with the burger sauce, I want to be able, wait for it, to dip it in gravy. Filthy. I love it. So that's going to make the pulled meat and the gravy. So as that cooks, I'm going to add some onions and a really good shake of Worcestershire sauce. And then what I want to do, because remember we are doing a gravy, 4 tablespoons of flour. So I'll take the oxtail out now and put it into a little casserole pan, just caring enough to start getting colour even on the flour. And it's all going to add to the richness of the gravy. a little seasoning, and 1.5 litres of vegetable, chicken stock, beef stock, whatever you've got to hand. So let's just take that stock over the oxtail. And then I'm just going to cover it in a little greaseproof paper, and then bring in the tin foil, cover it nice and tight like that, into the oven at 180 degrees Celsius, 350 Fahrenheit, and just let that oxtail slow cook for 3 to 4 hours until the meat falls off the bone. And this is going to give you loads of time to get on with your weekend. Go do some stuff, knowing full well that something very special is about to happen. So when the time is up, have a look at that, guys. Oh, it smells so good. And you know what? It reminds me of my dear old nanny Betty. She used to love cooking this. The meat just falls off the bone. It's so, so good. Here is the gravy, by the way. Just skim off this fat and then push the gravy through a coarse sieve. You don't have to do it, but I quite like a finer gravy, right? I think it's a bit more elegant. And then these chunky bits can go back into our pulled meat. Just put a fresh swig of Worcestershire sauce in there. And then you can take a herb like parsley just to give it a little bit of contrast. And that on our burger is going to be amazing. I'll pop that in the oven and turn the oven off, okay, just to keep it warm. So, let's make the burger sauce. Let's get our pickle. It will give you tang and crunch. Then lettuce is surprisingly sweet. And then tomatoes. Get an overripe one, and that'll have wonderful flavour. Season it with salt and pepper, and then just dress it in a little yogurt. Look at that. I love it. So now is patty time. I love the chuck steak. It has a natural mix of fat and muscle and flavour. Don't overthink it. Roll it up, squash it out. Happy days. 4 fine little patties. I'm just going to season it, and then we go into the pan. So give it about 1.5 minutes, and then turn it. Get some English mustard. And you want a little teaspoon on there. English mustard is quite hot, but actually when it cooks, it calms. And we're going to flip it again. So it's going to have 4 turns. 1.5 minutes, brush, 1.5 minutes, right? And then just lay your red Leicester cheese over the top. And now, very importantly, find a little lid to put on top. The great thing about that bowl is it creates like a little bit of steam that just makes the cheese ooze. Jiggle that bun around in some of that rendered fat and gorgeousness. A nice bun only requires a few little minutes. It's the time to show you the ultimate burger. Let's get the oxtail out of the oven. Look at that. Oh, my Lord. We take the burger sauce, 2 little spoons. Look at that. And that ooze is a thing of beauty. Incredible oxtail. Oh, my Lord. Behave. And then a little bun on top. But we ain't done yet, because remember, we made that gravy. And then you dip it. There's no polite way to eat this. It's gonna be messy, but it's gonna be one of the nicest things you eat. Pure indulgence. Oh.
Beautiful. Cannot wait.
So, Jimmy, if you can protect my friend here, because he's so beautifully dressed.
Look at that.
Bear with me. So, grab your burger, find someone near to you that looks quite handsome. Hi, Jimmy.
Hi. He doesn't mean
and
it.
share this thing of beauty. Oh.
It's hot. How is it?
I have never tasted a burger like this before. This is awesome.
You can see why I've dressed you like this now.
We've just forgotten everyone in the cab.
I know.
So sorry.
Should I do some for you?
Yeah. You were in for a treat. Oh, that's good.
Patrick, if you could serve this to people, you know, to upsell it.
Thanks,
there we go.
There you are, my dear. Good afternoon, sir.
I've cooked a million burgers in my time, but that is absolutely incredible.
There you are, my dear. I hope that's how you like it. If not, don't complain to me.
This is an off-the-chart weekend dish. This is for the people that, look, we like the repetition of roast dinners. Yes, I do too, but every now and again, you need a curveball. This is it.
This is a roast for special occasions. Tender, flavour-packed venison, wrapped in crispy prosciutto, served with a mouth-watering twist on mash, and topped off with the most incredible gravy, made with red wine and chocolate.
Oh my Lord, this recipe is going to knock your socks off. Check this out. A lovely, beautifully prepared saddle of venison. I'm going to give it some incredible flavour. I'm going to kind of vibe up some possibly unusual ingredients, but they really do work with the subtlety of that delicious meat.
It all starts with the marinade. So grab a pestle and mortar and go in with 1 teaspoon of white or black peppercorns, a pinch of salt, a level tablespoon of coffee beans, and give it a good old bash.
It might seem weird, but you know, the coffee bean has been used in many types of cooking for thousands of years, and it's got a wonderful perfume.
Next, add 2 cloves of garlic, 2 sprigs of rosemary leaves, the zest and juice of 1 orange, 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, a glug of extra virgin olive oil, and then give it a good muddle and it's ready for the meat.
Look at that. So just get that marinade and just rub it all over.
Wash your hands and it's time for the prosciutto wrap.
So get yourself a nice large sheet of greaseproof paper, big enough to sort of go the length of that venison, like that. Just rub it with a little olive oil. So I've got this prosciutto here, and the thing we like about this is it's seasoned, it's salted, so that's going to add to flavour. It's laced with the most wonderful fat, which is really going to take care and look after that lovely lean cut of venison.
Lay out the prosciutto slices side by side, making sure they'll cover the whole length of the meat. Then place the venison on top.
The next stage is very, very simple. You simply just go like this and then peel it back a little bit, and then you just pull it back and you roll it again.
Easy. Now you need to tie the whole thing up to keep it all in place. But don't worry, nothing too technical. Simply slide individual bits of string underneath and tie in a knot.
So I like to do a double knot, once, twice, pull it down, not too tight, and do your knot.
Repeat all the way along and pop in a roasting tray with a slug of olive oil. Leave for a while and let the marinade work its flavour magic. Time to talk gravy.
The best gravy doesn't warrant a lot of work, but it does require a little time, and the flavour comes from bones. So I got this present from the butcher. Venison bones, you get them for free. I've roasted them off with a carrot and onion.
They've roasted for an hour until nice and sticky. Now you're ready for stage 2. Pop on a high heat and stir in a tablespoon of plain flour and half a bottle of Barolo. It's a pricey red. By all means, use something cheaper, but make sure it's something you'd be happy to drink.
So just move those bones around and scrape the sticky goodness off the bottom. This is going to be so good. For the gravy lovers, you're going to go nuts.
Cover with boiling water and gently simmer for 2 hours.
OK, so that tray of gravy has simmered beautifully. Put it through a sieve, and we've got nearly a pint of gorgeous, rich gravy, which is to die for. So good. So I'm going to leave that just on the lowest possible heat. Our lovely loin of venison. That goes in the oven at 180 degrees Celsius, 350 Fahrenheit, about 25 minutes, half an hour, OK? And that's going to be beautiful and blushing inside. Happy days. Now, over here is a nice thing. We have got a little twist. We can have mashed potatoes, right? But no, you can do that. But I've split it 3 ways. 1/3 potato, 1/3 celeriac, and 1/3 Jerusalem artichokes.
Simply boil the lot in a pan of salted water for 15 to 20 minutes. Drain, then mash with a knob of butter and a splash of extra virgin olive oil.
This is going to be a mash like you've never had before. The meat has had its time. Now, let's just let it rest, OK? And that means letting all the natural juices really go back to where they came from.
While that rests, you can finish the gravy. Take it off the heat, add a knob of butter, then you're ready for the ingredient that takes it to the next level, 70% dark chocolate.
Why are you putting chocolate in my gravy? Right, okay. First up, we're only using a little bit, 20 grams, 25 grams. We don't want it to be chocolatey, but we want to use chocolate almost like you'd use anchovy in cooking. You don't want to taste it, but it just props up all the flavour. So from this, we're going to get a silkiness, we're going to get a subtle sweetness, and also a little bitterness that's going to work so well with the red wine. And then when you have that with your meat,
stir the chocolate in and you're ready to serve.
Let's unleash this amazing roast venison. Look at that, the blushing colour.
Pile the plate with the delicious mash, top with juicy slices of venison, a side of lovely fresh greens, and smother liberally in the incredible red wine and chocolate gravy. That's what I call a roast.
The venison's so tender. That contrast of that dark, wonderful, rich, kick-ass gravy with the clean Jerusalem artichoke celeriac potato mash, so good. But I know for a fact that the guys in the cafe are going to go nuts for this.
This is an incredible Middle Eastern-inspired slow-cooked shoulder of lamb, delicate spices, gorgeous sticky tomatoes, crunchy cabbage pickle, wrapped up in a delicious homemade flatbread.
We're going to cook it in such a way that I can guarantee you the most tender, delicious, pulling meat you've ever had.
First up, it's all about the gentle spice rub. So, add 2 teaspoons of coriander seeds and a teaspoon each of fennel and cumin.
Then, the spice of my hometown, Saffron Walden. This is saffron, and I hardly need any, but the flavour that comes from that is phenomenal.
Then season with salt and pepper and pound to a powder.
And this is where flavour happens. And it takes no time. That's what you end up with. Beautifully ground, delicate spices.
And to make sure all that rub really sticks to the lamb, carefully score the fat without cutting through to the meat. Then smother it with butter and sprinkle over the spices.
Beautiful.
Next, the herbs, a handful of finely chopped rosemary and thyme.
And so far we've got a delicate kind of layering of spice and herb. Gorgeous. But I want a bit of optimism, I want a bit of brightness, and for that, I'm going to use a really underrated ingredient, and that's orange zest. And just a tiny bit transforms this dish.
So, to seal all those lovely flavours in, wrap the lamb in some greaseproof paper and grab some good baking foil.
So let's talk about outrageous, tender, juicy meat. The shoulder's busy, it's fit, it's dynamic, so it's tough for us to eat it if we cook it quickly. If you give it time and hydration, it becomes tender.
You want about 130 degrees so the lamb cooks low and slow.
And then just let the oven do the work. 7 hours, get your day back, go and do something lovely.
Once you've had a little me time, I've got a couple of accompaniments that will really make this dish.
First up, flatbreads, homemade, super, super cool.
A handful of whole wheat flour per person, a pinch of salt and a swig of oil, and a splash of water.
Just use your instinct. If it's too wet, add more flour. If it's too dry, add more water.
Knead well, roll into a sausage and divide into equal-sized balls, then leave to rest under a damp cloth for about 10 minutes. Enough time to make an incredible little pickle. Roughly chop half a red cabbage, add a pinch of ground cloves, a good splash of red wine vinegar and a pinch of salt.
And we're scrunch. And we're going to create an immediate, gorgeous pickle, right? Look at that, incredible colours.
Now it's time to cook the flatbreads.
You can do this in an electric hob on a big frying pan, but if you've got a gas hob, let's go old school. Cheap old bowl, right? Upside down, okay?
Roll out your dough balls as thin as you can get them. Then straight over and onto the bowl, which is already lovely and hot. These will take a couple of minutes to cook, giving you just enough time to get the lamb out of the oven.
So exciting. Oh, I can feel that it's good in there.
To go with it, I've knocked up some beautiful slow-roasted tomatoes. Cooking for 4 hours beside the lamb, these bad boys have been seasoned with a little bit of salt and pepper, garlic, olive oil, a splash of water, and a sprig of thyme.
They've completely reduced, and all that sticky goodness is just a joy.
But the meat is the real star of the show.
Get a couple of forks. Let's have a little look what thyme has done. Okay, just break it up.
Beautifully aromatic, slow-cooked lamb, so tender it just falls apart. Served with sweet roasted tomatoes, a hit of chili with some fiery harissa, cool minty yogurt, and a crunchy cabbage pickle. All wrapped up in a freshly made flatbread.
Heavy on the chili, nice. Refreshing with the yogurt, pomegranates, whoop, tomatoes, squash. And then the lamb, like that. Finish with crunch. You just want to fold it up, get it in your mouth, and celebrate low and slow cooking. Mmm. Mmm. That is ridiculous. So good. Bread, meat, harissa, phenomenal. And actually the red cabbage and a little bit of clove is just like a spank. Mmm. They're gonna love that with the calf.
Down at the other end of the pier, this dish is gonna be what Mel and you lot wanna be having on a Friday night.
It's time to make homemade kebabs. Woohoo! And this time it's a posh kebab because we're doing a mushroom shawarma, layer upon layer of beautiful mushrooms. We're gonna marinate them. We're gonna give them gorgeous spices. We're gonna get it charred and dark and gnarly, and we'll carve that over beautiful thin flatbreads. You will go mad. So come on, let's do it. Homemade mushroom shawarma. We're pushing the meat aside. We're bigging up this incredible vegetable. So let's start off with the marinades. We'll go into a pestle and mortar with 2 garlic cloves, pinch of salt. Crack this into a paste. It smells fantastic. Then, maybe an unusual ingredient that you've never seen before. These are preserved lemons. The smell and the flavour is almost like a hyper lemon squash. It's extraordinary. So get rid of all the little seeds. Chop these lemons. You'll use the skin and the inside and give that a little pound. For me, this is really, really important to bring out flavour. A heaped teaspoon of smoked paprika. Allspice goes in, cumin goes in. Bash them into the lemon and the garlic. Nick some of the liquor from the lemons. A little bit of olive oil. Look at the colour, guys. So this is the welcoming party for that lot. So, in we go, and you've got incredible flavour. Look at that. Ho, ho, ho. King oysters, they can go in. What I want to do is skewer these. So any mushrooms you can get your hands on, anything that can be skewered is what we're after. I've got about 800 grams here. With these lovely old portobellos, pinch the end and peel them. I will not waste that, okay? So both go in. Fresh bay, I'm going to take a humble onion into quarters and then into petals. So just give it a nice little toss up and that marinade gets in and between the mushrooms. And so get yourself a nice old skewer, and I want to rack this kebab up tight and packed. So remember those gnarly little peelings? That's where a lot of the flavour is. One thing flavours another. One thing cooks into another. It's really good fun. So look at that. Dum 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 mushroom shawarma. Come on. So that's going to go in a roasting hot oven. There you go. So the kebab's cooking. Let's make homemade flatbreads that's going to wrap up that beautiful thing. We're going to take the 2 cheapest things that you got, which is flour and water. 2 heaped builder's mugs of the strong flour. Just about fill this mug. So it's hot water. Here's the twist. By using the hot water, you're partially cooking the proteins of the bread. Season it with salt, and we'll mix it up. Use a spoon, and then when the dough's not sticky, we can start using our hands. Just move it around like that. So as soon as that dough has cleaned the bowl, we can put that down, give it a little knead, and just work it until it's nice and smooth. So what you can see is we've got a really nice, elastic dough, and that's what you get from the hot water. Roll these into 8 little balls, and then what I want to do is just put a damp cloth over the top like that.
While the flatbreads rest, let's check in on those mushrooms.
Have a look at this. So that's had about 15 minutes, and it's beautiful. come on. If you look in the tray, can you see how the juice from the mushroom creates this stock? So we can use this, giving it a ruddy good basting. This goes back in the oven, and we'll give it about another 15 minutes, guys. Let's do the flatbread. Get a couple of bits of greaseproof paper, and I want to oil these up with some olive oil. Put the dough on that, just pat it out with our hand, and put that on top. Just bring it out like that. It's so kind of bendy and elastic. Peel this off. Now, this pan is on a medium-low heat, so just let the heat cook the flatbread. That's all I want to do. Cook, no colour. So the nice thing about this is you could do this the day before or an hour before your friends or family get there. It's really, really easy.
No kebab is complete without the extras.
I'm gonna make a little cheat salsa. So I'll take a regular jar of jalapenos, a little food processor, and then choose a nice green herb. I'm gonna go for mint. Just be brutal. Take the bunch, rip off the stalks, go in with the leaves, pour in the jalapenos and all of the vinegar, and whiz it up. So for me, this little cheat is a great salsa, full of flavour, and that mint brings it to life. So that is the simplest, cheatiest little salsa going. People are gonna love it.
Get yourself some tahini, cool yogurt, and pomegranate molasses.
This is gonna be an amazing little story. The sweet, the heat, the kind of robust, the refreshing.
It continues with a simple quick pickle, half a diced cucumber, 10 sliced radishes, and 100 grams of quartered cherry tomatoes.
We want to dress that with salt and pepper, simple olive oil, and vinegar. And I want to be fairly generous. One more thing I want to show you. This is dukkha. You can get it in quite a lot of supermarkets now, and it's basically pounded up hazelnuts, spices, and it's classically had with flatbreads and olive oil. Really, really nice. Got a little pile of mint, and it's time now to go and get our kebab. Look at that. I know what you're thinking. Is it burnt? Is it ruined? No, 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 no. This is perfect. We can now take that incredible pomegranate molasses, a little kiss of olive oil. So that's gonna be amazing flavor. We'll get our flatbread and we'll go in at the higher temperature. That high heat has now made the steam inside explode. It puffs it up like a big pillow. You get twists and turns and crispy bits, chewy bits. It's gonna be amazing. Okay, let's build this kebab. We want to start with tahini. Really, really important. On we go. Savoury and delicious. Be fairly generous. Then yogurt. Fresh and gorgeous. Time to carve our shawarma now. And as you carve into this and you look into the soul of the shawarma, you also then start to see the balance. We want burn, we want gnarly, but we also want that silky, soft inside. Just absolutely amazing. Okay, so what next? Let's hit it up with some whole mint. Do blobs of the salsa so you get hits of it and waves of it. And then the dukkha. This is texture, it's spice. So look, there's only one thing to do now, and that's roll this lovely thing up. And there is no elegant way to do it. That mushroom has like absorbed so much flavour. The salsa, bing, mint, wah, little bit of molasses, woohoo, and then those like little hits of spice from the dukkha. Wow, and the jalapeno chili. There's a nice hum of heat there. That, my friends, is an absolute artisan version of a street food Friday night classic. Absolutely delicious. Right, you ready for this, girl?
Oh, look at that.
Mushroom shawarma. I bet you've had a shawarma or two.
No, I have. Of course I have. Living in Leeds. Are you kidding me? This looks good.
We have tahini, some really nice organic yogurt. We want that freshness there. And then we're going to go in with the mushroom. And you'll see, like, the way the mushroom is, it just takes on that flavour.
That looks
really
so good. Mouth watering.
So, roll it up, get it in there.
Suck in.
Don't worry about being polite. Oh.
That is so tasty.
The mushrooms.
So beefy, so delicious.
It's so good.
Can you taste all the different flavours?
Yeah, it's everything.
So when you were starting out in the Spice Girls, you must have done all sorts of other jobs. Were you ever a waitress?
Yeah, I was. At Pizza Hut.
Were you?
No way.
Were you good?
Well, I kept on getting fired.
Why did you get fired?
Because I got orders wrong a lot, and
Right,
I dropped
okay.
pizzas.
Yeah.
But then they would hire me again because I was so good with the customers.
Right, after that, you got to feed this lot.
Perfect.
You guys hungry? Yeah! Woo! Can you do 3 plates?
Oh, you know what? I might drop it.
Go on.
There you go.
Yeah,
Oh,
look. Here we go, guys!
Oh my gosh, look at that. I feel like I'm walking down like the aisle or something. So that's for you two, right? Enjoy.
Okay, so I want to give you a recipe that's really dear to my heart. This is a recipe to cook for someone you love. And my wife, Jules, loves this dish. The flavours are guaranteed satisfaction. It's going to be amazing. It's a celebration of fish.
Beautifully steamed sea bream, incredible shellfish, gorgeous greens, all infused with amazing Asian flavours.
And the great thing about this dish is it ticks every single box. It looks great, it's exciting, it's interactive, it's really, really healthy, it's super tasty. You feel really, really complete.
And it's so simple to make. It's all about giving the ingredients love, care and attention.
So I've got some beautiful bream here. Lovely, white, flaky fish, no bones, okay? Just pinch the fillet like that, so it's a little bit pert, and then just get your knife and gently score. About ½ centimetre down. It looks super flash. It allows heat and flavour in, so it's a win-win on every level.
Next, some gorgeous shellfish. A handful of fresh mussels, clams, king prawns and scallops.
Pull it off the shell like this. You've got the little skirt around here. It's really tasty. I'm not throwing it away. No way, Jose. So we'll keep that little skirt.
Then trim the scallops so you're just left with the roe and white meat.
I want to do a little preparation that's beautiful. I want to lightly go onto the scallop and I want to kind of do a little crisscross, like a checkerboard. But now what's going to happen is when that cooks, right, it's going to be a little flower opening up, okay? And again, flavour can come in, heat can get in, and it's just all very beautiful.
Peel and devein your prawns, but keep the heads on, that's where all the flavour is. And for colour and crunch, a selection of fresh Asian greens, sprouting broccoli and sugar snap peas.
And I like this dish just for 2 people, right? Don't do it for 4. Don't do it for 6. This is not a dinner party. This is for someone you love. That's it.
Now for the really important bit, the paste. This is going to infuse all of that seafood and veg with fresh, fragrant Asian flavours. First up, lemongrass.
Just give it a good old thwack. So citrusy and fresh.
Roughly chop it up, then go in with 1 sliced red chilli, a thumb-sized piece of ginger, 2 cloves of garlic, 3 lime leaves, and a handful of chopped coriander, and get pounding.
Ultimately, you want to bash everything up so they all share their individual flavours and become one. Look at that.
Finally, for a real Asian flavour hit, the juice of 2 limes, a tablespoon of soy sauce, a teaspoon of fish sauce, and a slug of oil.
One last little muddle. That is what you get. Absolutely gorgeous. Unbelievable. We got fish, shellfish, greens, and the flavour, right? We're on a win-win. We could throw all that in a dish and just bang it in the oven. Would it be good? Yeah, it'd be really good. But that's not good enough, right? We want to put more love in. We want to create a bag, like a pillow, a lovely, lovely pillow where no sort of juices or steam or flavour can escape.
So lay a wide sheet of good aluminium foil on a serving dish. Pop a smaller sheet of greaseproof paper on top, then start loading.
That, gorgeous. Let's kind of lay a fish fillet over here, and we'll start putting all our lovely greens in and around. We'll put the little scallop in there. Oh, this is so exciting.
Finally, smother it in all the aromatic Asian paste.
And that is beautiful. What I want to do now is then close this envelope. So I need another sheet. But I want to guarantee that it's going to be airtight.
So with a beaten egg, paint the edge of the foil, then squash the 2 pieces together and fold in every side. This is going to create a perfect little steaming ecosystem. All the juices and sauce circulating so everything gets infused with seriously intense flavour.
And then all we have to do now is whack it in the oven.
15 minutes and it's done.
Ah, yes. This is what we want. Get your knife in. Steam comes out. Be careful. Rip it open. And inside is an incredible, incredible meal. let's do myself a little portion. Steam rice, then just go and get yourself a wodge of this gorgeousness. Look at that. Oh, everyone deserves to have this once in their life. Flaky steamed fish, mouth-watering shellfish, gorgeous steamed greens, all wrapped up in fresh, fragrant Asian flavours. Mmm. So simple, but so good. That is a mighty dish, and they are going to love that in the cafe, I can guarantee you.